Hi there, welcome to your fourth lesson, second riding lesson. Today we're going to go over the same concepts of following pressure from the rope or rein and moving away from pressure either from the hand, the whip, or the leg that we went over in the last groundwork class that we did with this free. So I'm just going to start off by showing you that all the exercises we did with the spree, with the rope halter, you can also do with your horse's bridle on. The only difference here is the horse has a bit in his mouth, and so now he's going to have to give to the pressure of it with a little bit of pressure in his mouth instead of just his nose and his pole. Okay, so first things first, we talked about the horse having to put their head down when you pull a little downward on the head. Now Tattoo's a little distracted, so I'm going to see if I get his attention on me. And I'm going to pull down, and as soon as he gives a little bit and puts his head down, I'm going to take that pressure away because he started to get that answer correct. So I want to let him know as soon as he starts giving me a good answer that I'm going to take the pressure away. Hopefully we can get his attention. Watching the bunnies outside. But again, I just want him to put his head down when I ask him to. So he gets his head down and he relaxes a little bit and starts to pay attention to me instead of the bunnies. Also, Tattoo, we haven't practiced this in a while, but we have that pressure on the base of his neck. I can remind him that when I push on his neck, he's supposed to put his head down. That's his little relax button that we like to teach them. If you ever get yourself in a situation that your horse might be a little bit anxious or upset, you can get them to put their head down so that they start to get their heart rate down and relaxed in listening. Okay, so once you've got the discipline of the head down, following the pressure downward, we want to ask the horse to follow the pressure of the rein backward a little bit. So he backs up. Remembering that the back up helps us get the weight off the horse's front end and a little bit more balance on their hind leg so they become better riding horses. Okay, so Tattoo, when I push back on his mouth a little bit, he should back away from that pressure. All right, so we've got head down, we can back him up a little bit. Now, the reason I chose Tattoo for this one is because he does have a tendency to be a little bit snarky about contact. So I just wanted you to see what I do if he doesn't respond to this perfectly in a cooperative manner. But when I pull the rein over to the left, Tattoo should follow that pressure, which he did pretty good for me. Now you'll see the under saddle not quite as cooperative. So I'm just going to go on the other side and I'm going to take the right rein and I'm going to ask him to turn and follow the pressure of the right rein. Once your horse is really good at that, you're going to stand back by their shoulder, take the rein on the opposite side. So this is a good exercise to ask them to flex from where your hand would be if you were riding them. So I'm just going to pull on that right rein and ask Tattoo to follow. He did a really nice job. As soon as he gave and followed that rein all the way over, I let it go. He gets the right answer, pressure goes away. So that's important to remember. If you're teaching your horse something, you put pressure on. As soon as they start giving you the right answer, the pressure goes away and that's their reward. So same thing on this side. Make sure that Tattoo follows the pressure of the left rein. As soon as he does, I give it away and that's his reward. So now he's respecting the pressure, the following of the reins. So once he's good at that, I'm going to put my stirrup up for a minute. Once we're good at that, we're going to add in the pressure of my hand, or my whip if I need it. If I'm on top of him, it would be the pressure of my leg that I want him to move away from. So we're going to do the same exercise with this bridle that we did with the rope halter with the spree. I'm going to take the rein, the length of Tattoo's neck, and I'm going to put my hand right where that relax button is, right at the base of his neck, where his neck meets his shoulder. And I'm going to ask him to look a little bit towards me. And I'm going to take my right hand and press right where my leg would be. I'm going to give him a little kiss so he knows to move his feet. And I'm going to push so that tattoo turns away from the pressure of my hand. Now again, we're looking for his hind leg to give me good cross under steps, that his neck stays relaxed and soft and following that rein as he goes around. And because he did that really well, I let him stop. Now this is an exercise that tattoo knows, so that's why I took it all the way around. So if you're still practicing this exercise with your horse and there's still a little bit getting tight in the neck or trying to fall in the forehand, remember your correction for a horse trying to kind of barge through you and say no to you is to do one little step of back up, take your right hand and then push them around. Get that weight on the hind leg so you can move it around and keep the weight off their shoulders. When those shoulders feel light, that neck is soft and bending and the hind leg is crossing over and they're really trying hard for you, let them stop and give them their rest, because we know that our horses like their rest. That's their second favorite reward next to getting a cookie. Okay, so I'm going to put this stirrup up. And we're just going to try the same thing on this side, making sure Tattoo's just as disciplined on his right as he is on the left. I'm taking that right rein, putting my hand on the base of his neck. I'm using my left hand, give him a little kiss, and turn those feet around. He gets a little bit heavier on me in this direction. I'm just going to keep it going until I feel him giving me good answers, and then when he does, I let him stop. So for the sake of keeping everything nice and even, I'm just going to do that a couple of more times with Tattoo, making sure that I'm developing both sides of my horse evenly as we work. So you see, this is a great exercise to do in addition to your whoa and go and your speed control that we did in the very first groundwork lesson. This helps you get your horses stretching as well as getting their body warm. And once you feel like you've established yourself, you're warm, your horse is warm, and you've established some nice discipline that your horse is relaxed and that they're listening to you, you can check your girth, make sure it's nice and snug. Maybe I'll tighten them up one hole before I hop up there. Big sigh and Tattoo. And take my stirrups down, and then I'm ready to head on over to the mounting block to get on up there, and we can practice that same exercise now under saddle that we just did on the ground. So I'm coming over to the mounting block. I'm going to stand on up here and ask Tattoo to come on over. This is, so you see Tattoo has learned to present himself at the mounting block, something that I'll teach you to teach your horse in later videos. Great trick to know, to make sure that your horse stands quiet at the block and waits for you. Even if you're the kind of rider who thinks, well, I'm a good enough rider, if my horse walks off, it doesn't matter. I can get up there and go. It's good discipline to make sure that your horse learns to stand quiet at the mounting block and wait for you. They're not going to wait for you here. They're not going to wait for you while you're out riding either. So just establish a good set of rules right from the get-go. All right, so I'm going to step away from the mounting block, make sure my horse's feet aren't going to hit it. And we're going to head over towards the middle of the ring. And I'm going to try that same exercise of him following my rein and crossing those hind legs while I'm riding him. And I'm going to start thinking again about the mechanics of the walk so that I could use my leg in good time with his hind leg coming up off the ground so that I can get him to really give me a good crossover. So I'm going to take my left rein. I'm going to start off on the left side like I normally do and ask him to flex and turn that hind leg. And we're looking for that left hind leg to cross under, under, under. So you can turn your head and look for it and kind of test out your skills a little bit here as you're doing this. See if you can maybe kiss and tap the whip on that leg as it goes under. Really come stretch. Okay, so only do it as many times as you can without getting dizzy. And then you're going to change direction. And on the right side, I'm going to ask the horse to flex and follow. I need to turn that hind leg. I'm looking for that hind leg as it comes off the ground. Push, 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 push. You can either let your horse stop as his reward, or you can send them out to a bigger circle. So as you can see, this is a great way to get your horse warmed up and a little bit more flexible, and it does strengthen their hind leg to do that exercise, as well as create that discipline. Okay, so we know that our horse needs to move forward when we ask them to. They need to stop when we ask them to. And now we want to make sure that they nicely do basic follow, pressure of the rein, and move away from the pressure of your leg or your whip, or if you're on the ground, your hand. Okay, so today's challenge is going to be, you're going to put your horse out on a big 20-meter circle, or as big as you can get, depending on the size of your ring. And you notice here that while I'm riding Tattoo around and I shorten my rein, one hand helps the other. He did get a little snarky, like I mentioned earlier, about the contact. He kind of grabbed and snatched a little bit. So even though this horse is 22 years old, he's been with me for 17 years. I have ridden and competed from training level through the intermediate one with him. Every time I ride him, I have to have this conversation with him about contact, because he likes to kind of be the boss of me. One of our local trainers, who is a former Olympian, once described Tattoo as a male chauvinistic pig, which is kind of a harsh characteristic, but not necessarily incorrect. But you can see as I shorten the reins, he does start to kind of fuss at the contact a little bit. And one of the best pieces of advice I got from a mental toughness coach was that it's a conversation I have to have with him every time I ride, so that I should just have the conversation, accept it, and move on. Okay, so for this lesson, even with my more advanced horse, it's something that I do every time I ride him. All right, so we're out on our meter circle, or however big you can get, depending on your ring. And we're going to challenge ourselves to stay on the circle, but overbend the horse's neck, both right and left. So I want to take Tattoo's. I'm going to use a lot of leg for this. So I'm using the pressure of my right leg and the pressure of my right rein. I'm overbending his neck with the right rein, and I'm using a lot of right leg here, thinking about the mechanics of the walk. When his right shoulder's all the way back at me, I'm going to press my leg on, because I know that's when this hind leg's coming off the ground to go meet that front foot. Now I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to overbend his neck to the left and use my left leg. Overbend, he's going to follow the pressure of my left rein, and I'm going to use my left leg when that shoulder's all the way back at me, pressing his left hind leg under him. So seeing if we can overbend our horse's neck, keep track of where those hind legs are, so you're staying on your circle and not allowing the horse to turn because you overbent the neck, right? We want to see if we can get all those pieces and parts working independently of each other. So you're going to keep practicing that at the walk. So it's good practice. Get your horse nice and loose, really reinforcing the concept of follow the rein, go away from the leg, and then once you feel pretty good about it, you're going to try it at the trot. Again, we're going to trot. We're going to make sure we come up on that correct posting diagonal right away. And then I'm going to see if I can overbend my horse's neck to the right. Again, I'm reinforcing my 20-meter circle with my right leg, so he doesn't turn a smaller circle just because I'm overbending him. And then I'm going to overbend his neck to the left, but keep him on the 20-meter circle. And what I want you to notice is that tattoo is really, as a result of these exercises, really stretching and reaching his neck down. So now you're not going to ride like this all the time. This is just a little challenge for you to see if you can do it. And it does help your horse become a little bit more flexible and stronger through their body. But once you've got it down and you feel pretty good about it, just shorten your reins and see if you can do that, just a little bit of a mini version of it. So we're just a little bit asking Tattoo to flex right, and I'm going to use my right leg to make sure that he just flexes, he doesn't turn. Maybe I'll do it a little to the left. Again, left leg, he's got to move away from that left, right leg. And then see if you can really get that hind leg moving and get a really nice stretchy circle from your horse. Notice this was a good exercise to get Tattoo. Neck low, back stretching. So good for their muscles in their back, their low back. If you have a horse that's recovering from surgery for kissing spine, or maybe just has a hinge of it, or your horse is out of shape, this is a great exercise to do, really helping to develop their top line and get a strong back. Of course, we want to do all of that stuff. I'm going to stop myself from spotting with Tattoo. Make sure that, those brakes are still there. Flip my whip over to the inside. Practice the overbend to the left. My left leg's working. Thinking about that shoulders back at me. I'm going to find that inside hind leg so that Tattoo stays out on a big circle. Do a little bit to the right. Keep everything moving forward. Again, Tattoo has to be a good boy and move away from my leg when I ask him. And then when he's real good at it at the walk, I'm going to bring him into trot. And again, I'm going to come right up on that right pushing diagonal because I've been practicing and getting really good at knowing where my horse's feet are underneath me so that when I move into my upper level stuff, I've got good timing with my eights. All right, so challenge to the left. And I overbend and he's a little bit tough on that left rein. Doesn't want to follow it quite so much. Keep asking until he softens. And then I'll relax that rein. We're going to try it over to the right. A lot of right leg here. Where your horse's feet are underneath you at the trot. Our diagonal pairs working together. You get good timing with your legs. And go in that right shoulders all the way forward. This left hind leg all the way off the ground, and vice versa. We can practice using our leg in time so he stays out on our big circle. And then once he feels nice and loose and relaxed, and very cooperative with that exercise, I can shorten the reins a little bit. Feel like a little bit of mini exercise, a tiny little flexions right left. Not seesawing the bit, just asking to follow pressure. Left, right, now forward. Just using my fingers for a little pressure and seeing it go a little more forward. And stretch that neck down. That left hind leg working. So we get a nice stretch through the back. Nice stretchy trot. Encourage that nose down. Good exercise, super duper warm up. So again, for those of you who are more advanced riders, watching this series to get back to basics, this is your warm up. For those of you who are just getting your formal riding education now, take as much time as you need to perfect these skills so that you really get it right and you move up the levels correctly. You'll find that if you pay attention to all of these concepts, the upper level stuff is easy. This is really the hard part here, okay? So, again, I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to go to my website and get the notes for today's lesson. Head on over to the barn and have a great ride. Thanks for watching.